God, I'm still shaking. I didn't mean to do it. Things weren't supposed to go this way. It was a total accident. I'm not sure what to do right now. Please, Reddit hive mind, tell me what to do. Let me explain the situation. One Sunday night in March of 2023, I found out my wife had been cheating on me for years. I-37Me had just bought my wife Stacy, 34F, a new iPad for her birthday. She was very happy with the gift, and I was helping her get it set up and synced to her Apple account. She went to take a shower and left the iPad open. I heard a bunch of notifications, so I checked and saw that all her messages were backed up to the iPad. Seconds later, she received a new message from someone named Gracie. I knew of Gracie as she was my wife's gym friend. For context, in 2021, when COVID restrictions lightened up, my wife and I joined the gym. We would go in the morning, but then I eventually had to stop due to work. She continued to go and currently goes 3 to 4 times a week consistently. Eventually, she mentioned that she made a friend named Gracie. She normally has trouble connecting with other women, so I was happy she made a new friend. I never met her, but she goes to the gym with her all the time. They have even taken occasional girls' trips. Over the years, my wife's figure has improved greatly. Her butt is bigger and more firm. Her waistline is more slim. She even has a six-pack now. I'm very average looking in comparison. I'm not fit, but not overweight. I'm 5'8", slightly balding, but I thought I looked okay. The text from Gracie read, "I pulled a muscle last time. Tomorrow it's your turn to get on top." I was stunned. My gut reaction was that they were having sex, but my wife is absolutely straight. I wasn't sure what to think, but before I can screenshot the text, my wife started coming out of the shower. I quickly turned off the iPad and went to bed. I couldn't sleep at all that night. I was hoping I misunderstood the text. Maybe they were stretching? Maybe it was during their yoga class. I was praying it wasn't what I was thinking. Our relationship hasn't been perfect, but I thought it was good. We're both firm on being child-free. We have semi-regular sex about twice a week on weekends unless we're tired. We don't argue over anything. We've been married for 5 years, together for 10. I cook and clean for us since she works long hours as a night shift nurse, 3 p.m., 3 a.m. I work morning shift as an engineer, 5 a.m., 2 p.m. So we don't see each other much except for weekends when we're both off. I decided that night that I wanted to see for myself what was up. I got up at 4 a.m. like normal and got ready for work. I then left in my car and parked down the street from our home. I called off to do this. She normally went to the gym around 8 a.m. every Monday, Thursday. Like clockwork, she left around 7:50 a.m. I followed behind her from a distance. She drove about 15 minutes away to some random neighborhood and pulled into the driveway of a house I didn't recognize. There was a lime green '67 Mustang parked in front of the garage. I saw her get out and walk up to the door. What I saw after really stayed in my mind. A man opened the door. He was about 6'2", totally jacked and had a thick beard. He looked like he was a lumberjack or something. She hugged him and went inside. I felt like throwing up. I was trying to rationalize what I just saw. Hugging him doesn't necessarily mean she's sleeping with him, but it doesn't look good either. I stayed in my car and waited for her to come out. She didn't leave the house until around 12 p.m. Her hair was a mess. Her clothes were wrinkled, like they were taken off and thrown around. Her face was flush, like she just had a long workout. They hugged again and she drove off home. I noted the address down and stayed there for a bit. I stayed in my car and drove around for a few hours until it was time to go home. We normally see each other for a brief 20 minutes each afternoon before she goes to work. She acted normal the whole time. I asked about her gym workout, and she said the typical stuff about how yoga and Zumba classes were brutal. I was heartbroken, but wanted to be absolutely sure. I followed her again every day that week, and she did everything the exact same. She went to this house every morning. The dude would answer and hug her. Then she'd spend a few hours each day with him and leave roughly the same time. That was enough evidence for me, so I decided to leave her. I contacted a divorce lawyer and explained the situation. He told me that because I make more money than her and that I have no actual proof of infidelity, At best, the process will end with her taking half of all my assets. I was pissed, so I came up with a plan. Transfer all my assets to my brother, sabotage her birth control, catch her in the act, and take recordings, and then kick her ass out. I spent the next year slowly transferring all my assets to my brother. My name was on the deed to the house, so I transferred it him. I emptied my personal bank account and wired it to him. I owned both cars, so now they were his. After her last period a few weeks ago, I swapped her birth control pills with similar-looking pills. I also haven't had sex with her since then as well. That all led to tonight. The last part of my plan was to catch her in the act. I couldn't access her phone or iPad since they were password protected. So I bought 3 small cameras off Amazon and planned on installing them on the outside of the windows of that dude's house. I drove to his house around 8 p.m. I dressed in black pants, black gloves, and a black hoodie. I brought a backpack with the cameras and a crowbar. I didn't see the Mustang in the driveway, so I figured he wasn't home. I snuck to the back of the house, looking for the bedroom window. I found it, but noticed the window was slightly open. I looked inside and didn't see anything, so I decided to plant the cameras inside the house instead. I opened the window with the crowbar and let myself inside the room. I took off my backpack, took out the cameras, and placed the crowbar on the floor. I planted the first camera in a potted plant he had in the corner of the room. The second camera was placed in the closet, with the door slightly opened enough for view. I couldn't decide what to do with the last camera though. There wasn't any good areas to place it. Eventually I decided to place it behind the TV overlooking the bed. Once I placed it, I hear the door open behind me and hear the words, "What the hell?" He lunged at me and pinned me to the ground. He was holding on to one of my arms while I used the other to push him off me. He yelled, "You chose the wrong house to steal from, dipshit." I yelled to get off me, but he proceeded to punch me instead. I was reaching out my free hand looking for anything to use and felt the crowbar, so I grab it and swing. I got him directly on the chin and see him fall down. As he fell, his head ended up hitting the corner of his bed, and I heard a cracking sound. Suddenly there was a pool of blood and a motionless body. I was terrified. I tried checking for a pulse, but didn't feel anything. I quickly grabbed my backpack and the crowbar and got the hell out of there. I then went to the woods 10 minutes away and buried my clothes and the crowbar. I'm now home trying to figure out what to do next. I need help. Please, I didn't mean to do that. Should I call the cops?